first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not supporting my brother's wedding? We barely talk ever since he and his ex-wife, Dana, divorced 2 years ago. My wife and I sided with Dana because he'd left her for his mistress and didn't even try to fight for custody of my 2 nephews, 12 and 9. She's still like family to us, and we're more involved in her life than my brother's. He wasn't happy that we stopped inviting him to our home for get-togethers because we always invited Dana and the kids instead. There was a lot of family drama. My parents took his side over this, and we went low contact for a while. We only started seeing each other again a few months ago, but we aren't as close as we used to be. My brother has tried to talk to me more, but I'm only short and civil with him. It wasn't just the cheating that did it for me, it was also that he didn't care about being involved with his sons after they split. I heard he and the mistress are now engaged, and they plan to have the wedding sometime next year. To my surprise, my brother asked me if I could be his best man, since I did it before. He told me he understands we haven't been close in a while, but this is his wedding, and he wants us to get past everything and be brothers again. I asked him if his sons were also going to the wedding, and he was quiet for a few seconds before saying he hasn't talked to them in a long time. Didn't expect him to say yes, but I wanted to confirm for myself that he'd rather mend our relationship than the one he had with his kids. I told him he's my brother, and while I do love him, I will never support the treatment of his kids or this marriage when all it did was cause pain to 3 innocent parties we care about and love. My wife is on my side here, and I know there's no way I'll ever go, but it's hard to not feel like a jerk when my entire life, my family has ingrained that belief that loyalty to blood comes before everything, and we always support unconditionally. I know sometimes that's not a good way to think, and I've tried hard to detach myself from that belief. It's been harder now when my parents won't stop talking about it, and they can't believe after years, I still chose to hurt my brother when all he wants is happiness. Yes, they're a bunch of hypocrites, but still, I can't get them out of my head, and a part of me does feel like the bad guy for not being supportive during what's supposed to be the happiest day of his life. Basically, the entire family is looking at me like a traitor, just like they did when they divorced. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It makes no sense to be best man at a marriage you don't support. And the whole thing about a blood relation being very important isn't true. Someone being blood related gives you no obligation to them if they're treated you or others horribly. As the saying goes, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Which doesn't even really matter since your nephews are blood related anyway, so just leaving them is gross. My uncle did this to his 2 daughters, and my cousins grew up just hating him and having severe emotional issues. My mom basically had your attitude about it. My favorite part of all this BS is them saying nonsense like loyalty to blood when the kids are literally blood related to them. And even if they weren't, they're still his kids. All the brother wants is happiness, but clearly no one but Opie and his wife gives a damn about the kids or their mother's happiness and well-being. Not the a-hole, of course. Not the a-hole. Loyalty to blood? You're being loyal to your blood nephews and their screwed over mother. I'm sorry for all involved that this has happened, but you have every right not to be there for your brother. Yep, agreed, not the a-hole. Brothers are blood, but his children aren't his blood? WTF? Good on you and your wife for supporting the kids, who are completely innocent. Except for when it comes to his own sons? Perhaps they should try a different angle on the guilt tactic. Not the a-hole. If you want to be involved in the wedding somehow to work towards mending things, offer perhaps to attend as a regular guest, or send a present if you don't want to go but still desire a gesture. Yes, that's where I point out the hypocrisy in their statement. But to them, it's that they're still supporting him unconditionally despite his own flaws. And no, I don't want to be involved in his wedding. Like I said, I don't support it, or his marriage. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not supporting my cousin's relationship? My younger cousin, 23 female, and I, 27 female, have been super close since she turned 16. We did most things together, and she even lived with me for a bit when she turned 18. It's been great. And I even see her as more of a little sister than a cousin. From ages 13 to 25, I dated and was engaged to Mark, 27 male. My cousin knew him well. When I turned 25, Mark and I had a serious discussion about marriage and children and ended up breaking up. He had lied to me our entire adult relationship about wanting marriage and kids. It killed me. My cousin was there for me the entire time. You can probably see where this is going. A month ago, my cousin announced she was pregnant and engaged. I was excited for her until I went over for a celebratory family cookout and met her newly moved-in fiancé. Guess who it was? Yep, it was Mark. My world came crashing down, and I just left. I didn't say anything. I just walked out. Family tried calling me. My cousin tried calling and texting me, but I didn't answer anyone. After about a week, I finally answered my cousin's call. She told me she needed me to be there for her, and she knew it was weird, but he was going to be family, and I should be happy for her. I told her I couldn't support any of this, and to please not contact me again. I now have family telling me what's done is done, and I need to get over it because cousin is getting married and having a baby. That I need to think of her, and that this is an exciting time for the family. I told everyone to F off, and if they support this, not to contact me again because family wouldn't do this to each other. They called me a witch and told me it's been 2 years, that no one owns a man, and I needed to shape up because this is happening. I blocked all of them. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Most definitely not the a-hole. What she did was terrible. She knew you all were together for all those years and broken up, and she still dated him. That's basically betraying you. I'm sorry you have to go through that. I'd bet it started before they broke up too. Went from girlfriend's cousin to baby mama really quick. And is nobody curious why these two were even in contact after the split? Especially if cousin was comforting OP. Honestly, the fact that they both knew about the relationship drama, got together so soon after your major breakup, and kept their relationship from you only to reveal it at a suitably dramatic moment in front of your entire family, makes me wonder if they didn't do this to you deliberately. If this is an exciting time for the family, how come you didn't hear a thing about your cousin's mysterious fiancé until she could spring this on you? Not the a-hole for going no contact after that. From what you say, it seems that Mark told you he didn't want children when you had been under the impression that he did? That is celebrating his impending fatherhood as soon after he ended a long-term relationship over exactly that issue makes me wonder if he was already interested in your cousin and was lying to you in order to break your relationship off. I'm just an internet speculator, so take that with a grain of salt, but I've heard of scenarios like that before. Not the a-hole. Your cousin can marry whom she likes, but you don't have to be there for it. I'm sure it's tough on your family too, but it's disappointing that they are all siding with her, after you were in a relationship with this guy for 12 years, including engagement. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to show up to my, 22 male, dad's gay wedding? My parents were married for 27 years. My dad is 52 and my mom is 48. It was discovered about a year ago that my dad had been cheating on my mom for the last 4 years of their marriage with another man. My dad also had hooked up with numerous older men over the course of their marriage. My mom caught him in bed with his boyfriend. My dad said he was bi and they tried to work it through. It didn't work, as my dad was still sleeping with his now 24-year-old boyfriend on the side and admitted he was gay. When I found out, I cut my dad out of my life. Over the past year, I have let him back in. I love him, but I just can't get over what he did to my mom. He and his boyfriend have gotten engaged, and my dad wants me to be his best man. I can't bring myself to this. I feel like it'd be betrayal on some level. I told him this. He broke down. He apologized for what he did to me, my little sister, and my mom. He said that he didn't want to hurt anyone with his actions. He said that he told his parents about having feelings towards men when he was my age, and they flipped. They threw him out, trashed all of his belongings, and treated him like less than a person. That even his friends dropped him once it got out that he liked men. He said that he only felt like he had a normal life if he began dating and married a woman, and he did this with my mom. This story was heartbreaking, but I couldn't. I want to be empathetic, but I can't. He cheated on my mom for years and built a family with her knowing he wasn't into her. I told him I didn't care about all of that crap, and that I would never be his best man and wouldn't go to the wedding. After telling my dad this, I received a very angry call from his boyfriend telling me how I'm a monster and an awful son. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If you take gender out of it, and your dad had a 24-year-old girlfriend that he cheated on your mom with, you'd still be justified in not wanting to be part of his wedding. Even the 24-year-old part would get me to not the a-hole without the cheating. Not the a-hole. You've mentioned nothing about him being gay being a part of your disdain. Sounds like you would have reacted exactly the same if it was a female he was cheating with. I feel like this is worse. The dad knew he wasn't into the mom from the beginning. He used her as a beard and effectively ruined her life. She could have gotten married to someone who actually loved her and not someone who used her to get accepted. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my sister to be my maid of honor at my wedding or godmother to my baby? 4 years ago, my sister Izzy was catfishing a guy, James, with my pictures. This only came to light as she has been asking him to move to our area and James had done it, so she had to come clean. James and I were both there for this confession, and neither of us spoke to Izzy for a while after. 6 months later, I saw James again. We got to talking and exchanged numbers. It was just friendly at first, but over time it grew into something more romantic. When we'd been together for about a year, we told Izzy, my brothers, and my divorced parents. Dad and brothers are happy I'm happy, but Izzy and Mom both flew off the handle. We've been together 3 years now, and this time, we have interacted mainly with Dad and brothers, and less so with Izzy and Mom. Izzy has had therapy and genuinely apologized to both of us, but the catfishing, plus her reaction to our relationship hasn't made a good relationship between all of us. James proposed early this year, and I accepted. We agreed on waiting to get married given everything going on, and then a month ago, we found out I'm pregnant. So the wedding is officially a solid 2 or 3 years away. Despite us telling Mom this, she's been calling me to talk about wedding ideas regularly. Mom called today, again, to talk about bridesmaids' dresses. During the conversation, she said that not only does she expect Izzy to be my maid of honor, but also godmother to the baby I'm carrying. Her reasons for this are that Izzy is my sister and planning on making me her maid of honor when she marries, and that Izzy is already godmother to my 8-year-old son. I expressed discomfort with both of those ideas, and Mom asked why. I told her that given everything with Izzy and James, I'm not sure this is the best idea. Mom then said that all of that was over 5 years ago. We said we'd forgiven her, and at some point, you have to let bygones be bygones, especially as we accepted her apology and she's gone to therapy. And if she hadn't gotten James to move here, then we never would have met at all, and the baby/marriage wouldn't be happening at all, and that she was ashamed of me for excluding my sister over the past. Izzy has since contacted me, agreeing with Mom that I'm being unnecessarily harsh and saying that she's apologized and it all worked out, and she's not sure what else she can do to get me to get over it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Glad your sister is getting the help she clearly needs. Your mother is definitely the a-hole for trying to choose your bridesmaid and godmother for you, whether it is your sister or not. Even if you didn't have the history with your sister, it is always your choice. Not the a-hole, obviously. You don't even need a reason not to pick her as maid of honor. That is not a decision others can make for you, and not a decision you have to justify. Having said that, you have every reason not to want her as a maid of honor or godmother. They know full well why. I'm guessing the reason they are pressing this issue is that if they can force you into complying, they can feel like they've been absolved of their transgressions. My advice? Don't jade. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. Not the a-hole. Mom doesn't get a say in who will be maid of honor or godmother whatsoever. Izzy messed up royally and has to earn the trust she's so royally messed up to earn even an invite to the wedding. Considering how much Mom favors Izzy, might want to tell her if she doesn't change her tune, she and Izzy will not be invited. Your mom doesn't seem to care about boundaries whatsoever, and you have to make them abundantly clear. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for leaving my girlfriend after she constantly belittled me in front of her friends? I'm 26 and just got out of a 2-year relationship. I ended things a few weeks ago, and she, female 26, has been telling everyone I blindsided her. But I honestly don't feel bad about it. For most of the relationship, she had this habit of making me the joke around her friends. She'd call me soft for not being confrontational, make fun of my job. I'm an engineer, and even joked once that I was the woman in the relationship because I cook and clean more than her. Her friends would laugh, and when I pulled her aside later, she'd just say I was being too sensitive. It wasn't just around others either. If I brought up something bothering me, she'd roll her eyes or say I was starting drama. I stopped talking about stuff that upset me because I knew it would either turn into a fight or be dismissed. I finally hit a breaking point when she made a joke at a party about me being the broke one, while I was literally covering most of our rent along with the utilities, food, etc. I didn't yell, I didn't fight, I just left that night and didn't go back. Now she's posting online about how I ghosted her, and her friends are messaging me saying I should have talked things through instead of walking away. But I feel like I did talk for 2 years. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Bad-mouthing your partner in front of your friends is the most disrespectful thing ever. Not the a-hole. I really hope some of the people I've met knew this. Just comment on her post what you've said here, and block her and her sad little friends. You repeatedly belittled me for your own entertainment. I told you to stop. You didn't. This is a situation entirely of your own making. Good for you. In no way, shape, or form you're the a-hole. She was. Totally agree. OP, you gave her 2 years to treat you better, and she chose to keep disrespecting you. Walking away wasn't ghosting. It was finally protecting your peace. She doesn't see anything wrong with it, that's the problem. But I think I decided to just prioritize myself. She confused you for someone with no self-respect. She will quickly move on to find another victim. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that we are not living together if she wants to split joint expenses proportional to income? I, 28 male, met my girlfriend 2 years ago. My girlfriend is in grad school and lives off the small stipend she receives and student loans. I make fairly good money. My girlfriend wants to move in with me. I live in a house owned by my grandparents and do not pay rent at their insistence. My girlfriend's current rent alone takes up almost her entire stipend each month. Plus, she has utilities, food, medical insurance, car payment, medical bills, credit card debt, etc. The landlord is raising rent, and she has not been able to find a cheaper place that feels moderately safe and sizable enough for her and her dog. So she wants to move in with me. I currently have a close friend who also lives here. He pays all the utilities as his rent. My girlfriend wants him to move out if she moves in, which he is fine with doing. I have talked to my girlfriend and stated that if she moves in, we should split the joint bills and expenses 50-50. She is greatly opposed to doing that and thinks it should be proportional. That would result in me paying virtually all the joint expenses. A 50-50 split would result in a significantly better financial situation for her. Right now, her living expenses are exponentially higher than her stipend. With this 50-50 split, they would be significantly less than her stipend. I would actually be paying more than I do now with a 50-50 split because I do not pay any utilities right now. I told her if she insists on a proportional split, then we cannot live together. She is mad and says I am causing her unnecessary stress. We both can afford the proportional split, so that is what we should do. Am I the a-hole? Edit. It seems a lot of assumptions are being made in the comments, so I need to clarify some things. 1. Yes, I do love my girlfriend, but I have significant disagreements with her on money. Our biggest fights have been about money. Every summer, she takes a trip somewhere and puts it on a credit card. Last year, she bought a new car. She has a $700 a month car payment that her mom has to help her out with. We have talked about these things. She gets defensive and tells me that I have no say over her money. 2. I am all about saving. I own a small contracting/construction company with a buddy. We started it not long before I met my girlfriend. In fact, I met her because I was doing some renovation work in her apartment complex. Basically, we are pinching pennies for the next couple of years to build up our nest egg and hire a staple of people. So every dollar counts. 3. If we were truly pooling our resources together, I would be okay with proportional, but that is not what we are doing. My girlfriend wants me to still have no say over how she spends money while doing a proportional expense setup. That is a problem for me. My girlfriend is a nurse and makes more than I do, which is a nice change for me. She makes good money, and in some but not all ways, her taste reflects that. And I respect it as it is her money. The arrangement we have is, we split things 50-50 when usage is equal, think internet and utilities. But we moved into a place that is nicer and more expensive than what I would have been fine with. So we pay proportional rent based on income. The same is true for activities and trips. It's an even split, unless it's something more expensive than what I would have gone for otherwise, at her behest. Then she pays a higher percentage of the cost. We are both reasonable people. We love and respect each other, and thus far it's worked out very well. The most important factor is the ability to talk through and negotiate a resolution that works for both parties. Even if it isn't 100% fair or whatever, both sides have to be okay with it. OP and his partner very obviously cannot find middle ground on the finances, and that is a huge red flag. In my opinion, if you're looking to build a life with someone, being aligned in your financial goals and philosophy is very important. I speak from experience. I was in a similar position with my girlfriend when I was studying, and she had an apartment. We even had the exact same fight of 50-50 versus proportional. Except the roles were reversed, with me wanting to pay at least 50%, while she insisted that she should pay more due to her earning more at the time. Yeah, we're married now. The big difference here is that you are both trying to put the other first. That's the sign of a relationship that will go the distance, in my opinion. What happens if she gets a better paying job than you in the future? Then the same 50-50 split applies, and he needs to be okay with that. Limao, this is pure facts. I had a girlfriend who wanted to split rent proportionally. I already paid the gas, electric, internet, YouTube, TV, Netflix, and bought groceries, and she never picked up a dinner check. I was like, we already are. She was still mad at me, lol. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling husband he can leave me and our newborn, and it wouldn't impact our lives? My husband, 32 male, and I, 29 female, have been disagreeing lately about childcare for when I need to return to work full-time. He wants to rely on his parents and my mom to watch our 3-month-old son, and I want to enroll him in an infant program at a daycare. I do not want his parents to watch our son for many reasons, but the biggest being his parents aren't capable of watching a newborn for 9 hours, and the fact that they refuse to follow the updated safety guidelines for the prevention of SIDS. Every time I tell them updated information different from how they did it 30 years ago, I get comments like, "My kids would be dead 100 times over nowadays with what I did," or "You're letting these guidelines drive you crazy," because I don't want my son to suffocate due to a blanket or bumpers being in or on his bassinet. To put it in perspective, my in-laws have issues with their other daughter-in-law as well, due to how they treat people around them. I could go on about the issues the in-laws and I have had in the past, but I don't want this post to be so long. Let's just say his parents purposely cross boundaries at the expense of others to get what they want. Anyways, the argument between my husband and me got very heated the other night. As I was preparing my son's bath on the kitchen counter, as I was finishing filling it with water, my husband was so upset with our disagreement that he took the bath and flipped it over, resulting in water being all over our kitchen and dining room hardwood floors and table. I told him to get the heck out of the house and to not come near me or our son. I was baby-wearing him at the time. He kept trying to come near me to the point I left through the back door with my son and tried to get in my car to drive away, but my husband stood behind my car so I couldn't leave. So I just walked away from the house instead, so I could feel safe with our son. Eventually, I needed to come back in order to feed our son a bottle. My husband was attempting to clean up the gallons of water he spilled on the floor and all over the documents I had on the table. Floors, basement ceiling, and documents ended up damaged. He said he would finish cleaning up and then leave the house. He left around midnight and didn't come back until 8 p.m. the next day.
Sadly, this isn't the first time my husband has acted out of anger. While I was pregnant, he punched a hole in our hallway and then grabbed me, resulting in my shirt being ripped. He also has knocked my possessions off countertops, resulting in things I cannot replace being broken. He always apologizes and says he will do better, but I no longer have hope for him. When he came back the other night, we continued the conversation about childcare and somehow got on the topic of another future baby, which I said I potentially did not want due to the traumatic birth of our son. I'm less than 3 months postpartum during this conversation. My husband then threatened to divorce me and go have a baby with someone else because his son will not be an only child. I flat out told him to file the paperwork without any emotion. I told him it wouldn't make a difference if he was here or not, considering he left for almost 24 hours without any communication, and I can manage it all on my own. Do I want our son to have divorced parents? No, I don't. But I also don't want him to grow up around a father who acts out of anger and aggression. I just feel like I've been through enough with him, and for him to now threaten divorce over childcare and potentially not having another baby is absurd in my mind. I know during our arguments I can say nasty things, but I never threaten divorce. Now a few days later, we are trying to continue talking about childcare, but my trust in him and his parents is almost non-existent due to his actions and words. I'm starting to feel like I am the a-hole because I said that him leaving wouldn't make a difference. Deep down, I do not want him to leave. But then I think about how, mid-typing this, I had to stop to go take out the garbage. It's 5 a.m. before collection, even though he said he did it before he went to bed. I just sometimes think he purposely is incompetent, so I just do everything. He says I won't have to coordinate with our parents on who's watching our son during the week and that he would do it. But I know that won't happen, and I will have to end up doing it. I just don't need the extra stress and would rather have something consistent. I just don't know what to do or if I am an a-hole for not wanting this life as it is right now for our son. Any advice or words of wisdom are welcome. Now for the comments. You have way bigger problems than childcare. Your relationship shows numerous red flags that you will eventually become a victim of DV, laying hands on you, tearing your shirt, throwing things when he is angry, punching walls, controlling who you can see, not allowing you to put your son in daycare, gaslighting and manipulating you by saying he will divorce you and have a child with someone else, controlling your movements, standing behind your car so you couldn't leave, careless disregard for the safety of your child, throwing the water while you were wearing the baby. I'm a former copper who worked in DV for years, and I'm telling you that you are not safe with him. If he doesn't leave, you should. He is violent, aggressive, and purposefully only damages and breaks your stuff, mementos, and documents during his rage blackouts. He tried putting his hands on you while you were pregnant, and now while you were holding your baby when he flipped the wash basin, and he wouldn't let you leave or feel safe. He is adamant about his parents watching your child when they refuse to follow medical advice about SIDS. Why are you with this person? Do you want your son to grow up around a parent who is violently abusive to his mother and towards him, and constantly puts his own child in unsafe situations? Please leave while you still can, or very soon because your birth control will conveniently fail, or his condom will break, or he'll force you and you'll be pregnant with baby number 2, and his abusive actions will keep escalating. You're not the a-hole with regards to him and wanting to divorce him, but the a-hole if you continue in this abusive relationship. Him punching the wall was just a warm-up. The next time it will be her, and soon. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to keep teaching my boyfriend basic life skills? Me, 23 female, and my boyfriend, 25 male, moved in together a few weeks ago. He's always lived at home with his parents, where his mom did literally everything for him. Laundry, cooking, cleaning, all that. So when he moved in with me, he asked me to help him learn how to do things. And at first I thought it was kind of cute. I figured we'd start with cooking since it's a basic life skill and he does like food. So every night while I cooked, he'd hang around the kitchen helping in small ways while I explained what I was doing, how to chop stuff, when to season things, what to watch for on the stove. Then this week I found a few super simple recipes things he already likes, and told him to try cooking on his own. He tried for a bit, then suddenly didn't know how to cut stuff, or said, "It just tastes better when you do it." And I ended up stepping in, like always. And it's not just cooking either. I've been doing most of the laundry, cleaning the bathroom, picking up after him, even reminding him to take the trash out. When I ask him to help, he gives me this look like he's never even heard of a vacuum cleaner before. Sometimes he'll start something, then get kind of stuck or confused, and just wait for me to finish it. And sometimes he just doesn't do it at all. It feels like he's kind of pretending not to know how, and knows if he waits long enough, I'll just do it myself. I told him I didn't sign up to be like his second mom, and that I'm getting tired of doing everything on my own. It kind of feels like he might be using that "I can't do it" thing to get out of helping, but I'm not really sure. Is it weaponized incompetence? He got kind of upset after I said that, and told me relationships are about helping each other, and that maybe I could be a little nicer to him or something. But I don't get it. I've been helping so much already. It's just really frustrating when I ask him to do the simplest things and he's like, "I don't know how," or "You do it way better." I told my mom, and she said I should be grateful he even wants to learn it all. He thinks maybe I just don't want to help him understand or be more patient with him. But I don't think it's too much to expect a 25-year-old grown man to at least try to figure out how to do basic stuff without me holding his hand every step of the way. So yeah, am I the a-hole? That's just weaponized incompetence. I understand asking for help at first, but it's not hard to pick up any of those skills. He's just pretending to not know how to, so he can make you do it. Not the a-hole. Oh, hell yeah. OP, go back to doing just your laundry. Cook for yourself. Clean only what you mess up. The petty Betty in me thinks that you should only make half of the bed. Vacuum only your side of the room. You get the point. Not the a-hole. I swear some of these dudes think moving in with a girlfriend equals maid service included. He's 25, not 5. If he wanted a teacher, he should go back to school. This is also why women are so hesitant to date men who still live at home. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but why take the risk the person is going to treat you like Bang Mom Maid 2.0? Even grown men who own houses suddenly forget stuff when their girlfriend moves in. The trend is shocking, like how were you living all by yourself before she moved in? It's crazy. You're the a-hole for still doing it. Stop feeding him and doing his laundry. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she stole my half-sister's inheritance and she's the reason our grandfather disinherited me? I'm 17, female. About 8 years ago, my dad died in an accident. He had a daughter, Sarah, who's 3 years older than me. She was 12 at the time. My dad left everything to my mom, under the impression that she'd take care of both me and Sarah. Her mom passed away a long time ago, but my mom didn't want to, so she handed her back. And she was raised by the various relatives on my dad's side. I saw her relatively regularly, but she avoided my mom, and there were clearly tensions between them. I now know my mom left her no money either. She took the entire estate and life insurance money from my dad, and she still owns the assets, and continues to insist my dad left them to her and not to Sarah. A couple of weeks ago, our grandfather announced his plans for his estate. He has 3 children, counting my dad. He's decided to split his assets 3 ways, one representing each child. Then he said he splits each segment 50-50 between the parent and their children to give the children a head start in life, as all the grandchildren are between 15 and 25, with the exception of my dad's third, which is going entirely to Sarah. He mentioned Sarah was treated unfairly all her life, and by her stepmother who already took her share of her dad's inheritance, and as a result he's making things right. He told me personally that he doesn't blame me, but as the sole inheritor of my mom's assets, I should be okay anyway. He mentioned I'll receive a nominal amount from the estate, roughly a few thousand, but not more. My mom is livid about this, and she believes my dad's share should have been treated similarly to other children. as in half of it going to his estate, which she inherited. The other half split between me and Sarah. Her argument is that my dad already decided who should get his share and it's her. She's actually trying to get legal advice and claims she will contest the will. I don't get her. My grandfather is alive and well. What is there to contest? At the end of the day, it's his money. And my mom's actions have resulted in me being disinherited. So I told her point blank that maybe she shouldn't have stolen Sarah's inheritance, and she didn't like it. Claims I'm disinherited because my grandfather is disrespecting our father and is playing favorites, rather than anything to do with her, and accused me of siding with him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mother frankly is trash. She stole from your half-sister. You are a good person for understanding the situation. Your mother is not going to get very far with her lawsuit. No one is owed an inheritance, much less a thief like your mother. Hopefully your grandfather lives several years more, and that what you are left does not pass through your mother's greedy paws. I doubt you will see a penny of it otherwise. Thieving trash. She was entrusted with money in the belief that she would take care of her husband's 2 daughters, and she kept it all for herself. Greedy, selfish, dishonest. I'm sorry, OP, your mother is a Disney villain. Thankfully, you take after your dad, not the a-hole. She stole from a 12-year-old child, then thinks she deserves dad's share of granddad's estate. That is a whole special level of selfish greed. Thank God OP takes after her father. We have a special 4-letter word for people like her mom, and it starts with a C. Not the a-hole. Your mother doesn't sound very nice and definitely sounds greedy AF. Like she hasn't had enough, she also wants from your grandfather. Your father holds some of the blame here. He left his estate to his wife, expecting that she would pass along money, but in what way? Was she supposed to separate some of it off right away, ensure you were both included when she dies? Have you received money whereas your sister hasn't? Your dad should have made sure some went to both his children in whatever way he wanted. On to the matter at hand. Does your grandfather know that your mother is spouting about lawyers? From what I understand, my dad believed Sarah would live with me and my mom, and she'd take care of us both, and eventually leave everything to us equally. I don't know if Grandpa does. My mom has talked to him about this, but I'll give him a heads up too. When talking to him, maybe make him aware that she is threatening to disinherit you because you stood up for your sister. So, let's say your mother does actually leave everything to you. Were you planning on cutting your sister out? She hasn't threatened to disinherit me. That would be a lie and manipulative on my part. No, if my mom leaves something to me, I always plan to share with Sarah. But my mom is expected to be alive for another 40 or so years, so this is not relevant now. Next story. Am I the a-hole if I do not give my full inheritance to my brother? My brother Joe and I are the legal beneficiaries of my parents' large estate. The inheritance is divided equally. Joe and my parents had a bad relationship for many years. He spent years without talking to them or me while living in their house. He patched up with my mother and I after my father's passing away. He continued living with my mother, rent-free. I live in another state, but I had arranged a caregiving service for my mother and paid for this service. My brother Joe has always been a bit unstable, and I've wondered if he has some sort of untreated or unresolved issues. He sent me multiple messages the last 2 days, and I cannot make out if he's unstable, confused, or if it's just the greed talking. Our legal will and document states that we should have equal division of our parents' assets. This could mean selling all the properties and dividing up the money equally. Another option is that one of us could buy the other one out. Lastly, we could decide how we want to divide up the properties based on valuations. Joe wants to live in our parents' house for the rest of his life, and he wants to continue using the income from our rental properties until they're sold, or until he dies, whichever comes first. He said nothing about the other liquid assets that are to be divided, but he does think we should all get the same amount of the inheritance. He started this whole mess by asking me to give up my share so he can get 100%. For added context, a large amount of liquid assets went to Joe after my father's passing due to nomination. Dad passed away suddenly. I moved out for college, made my life in a different place from Joe, and he thinks I'm wealthy because of where I work. My brother is older than me by 10 years, and he's well into his 40s. None of this makes sense to me. If all of this is coming from a place where he needs professional help, I don't want to make things worse for him. What do you all think? Edit. To add, lawyers are involved and they think it will be 50-50, and more for me if I let them calculate his rent for the years living in my parents' house, 50% repayment for the caretaking service, etc. I cannot make out if he is greedy or coming from a place of mental instability taking advantage of my goodwill. I'm just posting here to see what unknown strangers think of it. Will I be an a-hole to act assuming he is just a greedy man? What I want, if Joe is unstable and needs help, I do not want to aggravate him and would rather wait out a bit before our family lawyers take any further action, like sending him a letter, for example. I do care for my brother's well-being. Your brother is already getting more than he deserves. Do not give him any more than he is legally entitled to. Get a lawyer to help you deal with all of this. Keep in mind that if there are rental properties and he has been collecting rent, you are entitled to half. Selling the assets may be the best thing, because then he will be able to easily buy you out of your half of the house and your half of all the furnishings and other bits in the house, such as jewelry. Make sure what you spent for caregivers is deducted from the estate before dividing, emphasizing that although he was living there, he wouldn't take care of her. Keep in mind that you are owed half of fair market value of the house, not a family discount. Exactly, because how is he going to maintain parents' house, property taxes, and maintenance? He wants to live bill-free for the rest of his life. He's already done nothing with his life and got by living off his parents. Time to grow up. OP not the a-hole, but it's not your job to support your brother. He needs to figure out life. It's way past time. Split everything 50-50. Sell everything, because being in a financial anything with him is going to turn into a mess. He may or may not have mental health issues, but it's not on you to figure it out. Not the a-hole, I would be inclined to revert to the original 50-50 plan outlined in the will. Greedy boy should not get extra. He had years of free rent and you paid for the caregiving service. How exactly is he entitled to more? Yeah, don't try to complicate matters. He wants to go off the rails, so now everything will be by the book. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking unnecessary money out of my daughter's pocket? Basically, I have a daughter, Emily, 16, female, from a previous marriage. My wife, Sasha, has a son the same age, Mark, 16, male. Mark doesn't stay with us that often. He prefers to stay with his bio dad. That being said, when he is here, I find Mark to be a pretty good kid, polite and respectful. His dad decided to take a trip for work in the last few weeks of school, so Mark's here for a bit. He's out of the house most of the time and doesn't take up much space. He does get kind of grumpy when there's too much going on around him, especially noise. But for that, his favorite thing are these expensive noise-canceling headphones which he almost always has with him, a present from his dad. Emily's school has already finished, so she's home. The problem is that the room Mark is sometimes has miscellaneous items put in when he's not here, and therefore Emily seems to think it's fair game to go through his stuff. I've told her to stop, but Sasha hasn't been taking it seriously in my opinion, saying that most of Mark's stuff is easy to replace. The big problem happened when Mark accidentally left his headphones in his room, and Emily accidentally snapped them. Mark found out when he came home from school and flipped. He shouted at her, saying she was spoiled without anything to back it up, loud enough that my wife and I heard it from the other room. Sasha wanted me to calm things down, which I did, but I also told Emily she's replacing them. Thing is, Mark's dad offered have someone get him a new pair immediately, and that it wasn't a problem. I said Emily would pay him back, and I'm sticking with it. Emily and Sasha think that's unfair, since Mark's dad can afford to buy 10 more. But I don't think you get to break someone's stuff and not pay for it. Those aren't the values I was raised with or what I want for my daughter. That being said, I do realize in this case it's kind of unnecessary, and there may be better ways for her to make it up to him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. I'm sorry, but there is no way 16-year-old snapped headphones accidentally, especially good quality noise-canceling ones. I think your daughter knew exactly what she was doing. She probably knew the importance of it to him too. She should pay it back regardless. She should apologize sincerely, and then you all clean his room out. And while he is not present, it is locked. He gets the key. Not the a-hole. It might be worth bringing her to counseling. Perhaps she's angry about your relationship with Sasha and punishing your stepson? I'm a bit confused about this. Does Mark not have his own room? Whose miscellaneous items are left in his room? Why is his room used as storage space when he isn't there? Why does Emily go through his stuff? It is his room, but when he's not here for weeks, sometimes months, people will leave a couple of things in the empty space. It's a pretty small house. We tidy and clean before he arrives, of course. I think you should perhaps stop using Mark's room as a storage space. It's a bit unfair that his possessions get lumped in with your family's unwanted stuff. It also means that if your daughter is looking for something, there's a likelihood that she might damage something that Mark owns. Not the a-hole for making your daughter pay for his headphones. Just don't expect her to be happy about it. You know how teenagers are, lol. Next story. Am I the a-hole for insulting my son-in-law after I told him that his son is not going to get anything from me when I die? I am 63 male. My daughter has a stepson and my bio grandson. I own a few ancestral homes, and I gave one to my daughter. But the one I live in will be going to my bio grandson after I die, and everything else I own. That's how it's always been. That's how it's always been, and everyone knows this. My daughter was visiting the other night, and randomly, my son-in-law brought up my will, and he asked what his son will be getting, and I was taken aback and just laughed. But then I realized he was serious, and so I told him he is getting nothing. He got annoyed and said if he treats my bio grandson like his own son, then why can't I do the same for his son and let him inherit something too? I said it's a sad day when a man's so greedy that he has to use each child to get something that's not his. Cue his puny puffed up chest and his childish tantrum. He's lucky my back is out because I would have planted my foot where the sun don't shine in his backyard. Punk! My daughter was dragging him out. My wife thinks I should have left it at nothing to keep the peace, and my daughter hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the a-hole? I can't believe he even asked you something like that. Who does that? I wouldn't ask my own parents something like that, let alone an in-law. Definitely not the a-hole. Someone who has no class, that's who. It's entirely different if they are your parent, and you want to make sure they have their wishes documented and sorted. I think it is rude for anyone to ask about what details are in another person's will, especially asking for something whether it be for yourself or someone else. I am sure this will be a point of contention with your son-in-law. If it comes up again, you may want to say something along the lines of, "My will is my personal business till the day I die," and let the subject drop. Not the a-hole. Is your bio-grandchild receiving anything from his family? Nope. That's so morbid and tacky that he just randomly brings up at freaking dinner. So, father-in-law, when you finally kick the bucket, what are we gonna get? Just so gross. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for making my cousin sleep on the couch after she turned my bedroom into her influencer studio? Okay, so, I, 22 female, live in a small apartment with one bedroom. I recently let my cousin, 19 female, stay with me for a few days while she was in town for a concert. She's super into TikTok and Instagram, like full influencer vibes, ring lights, full glam makeup at 9 a.m., filming herself brushing her hair, the works. I was totally fine with her crashing at my place, even gave her my bedroom while I took the couch. I had a busy week, didn't want to entertain. But when I went into my room on the second day to grab my charger, I found she had rearranged my entire room. Like full-on moved my bed, pushed my desk to the corner, covered my mirror with one of those LED heart frames, and had a tripod in front of my window with a "Do Not Disturb" filming sign on my closet. I asked her, nicely at first, if she could move things back and maybe chill with a full studio setup since it's still, my room. She said, "This lighting is perfect and your room has better vibes than my apartment back home." Like, okay, but it's still my bed you're using as a prop. So that night I told her she'd have to sleep on the couch from now on. I was taking back my room. She got super offended and said I was ruining her content and being territorial. She left the next morning and hasn't spoken to me since. But her Instagram story had some vague post like, "Some people don't support your grind." Am I the a-hole for reclaiming my room and making her sleep on the couch after she turned my bedroom into a filming set? Not the a-hole. You were being territorial because she was invading your personal territory. She's right, you don't support her grind any more than she respects your home and your bedroom. She is a very self-centered diva. Hopefully she will not ask or crash at your place again. Exactly. Like, yes, I was being territorial because it's literally my territory. I was fine with her being here, but the second she turned my bed into her studio couch and slapped a do not disturb sign on my closet like I'm her assistant, nah. I don't mind supporting her grind, just not when it hijacks my entire living space. Hopefully next time she visits, she books a hotel with great vibes and built-in ring lights. Count your blessings that this entitled freeloader has gone no contact. If she does contact you again, it will because she wants something from you that is free.